Here's a sign of the times. Shoe shines are losing some luster. The tradition of getting a quick polish from a rag-toting shoe shiner is becoming more of a rarity, with stands disappearing across the country. The decline's been exacerbated by the pandemic, remote working, and the rise in popularity of more casual workwear.
Futures are up before the opening bell on Wall Street this morning. Dow futures up 28, S&P 6, NASDAQ 24. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And go, my fellow Americans.
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
507 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. Dan here indeed, along with Johnny B. Ken Weaver as well. And boy, that's quite the daunting forecast we're hearing. Let's bring Ken Weaver back in from the newsroom. So, Ken,
Yeah.
what are we talking about as far as a timeline goes? When should people really be worried? I heard Stefano DiPietro.
Stefano DiPietro, Brother Dan.
Yes, I heard him say that really between 10 and noon.
10 and noon for the immediate Nashville area.
All right.
So middle Tennessee, let's say, from 10 to noon. And I mean, that's from Kentucky to Alabama.
Yeah, it's going to say, are you watching the radar, and how's it? I mean, I know that in Dallas last night they had some really wicked weather, and I guess it's coming this way.
Yes, it is, Brother Dan. And here's the deal: we've got a double whammy today.
Okay.
So here in about 52 minutes, we're going to go under a high wind advisory. High wind is different from a just regular wind advisory. High wind advisory is whenever you get damaging winds, even whenever it's not storming. We could have gusts today between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. of up to 60 miles per hour. That's enough to prompt a severe thunderstorm warning. But there may not be any storms.
Right.
It's just going to be high wind. And again, they're saying power outages are likely in areas, especially where trees are near power lines and that sort of thing with this wind when it comes through.
Yep.
That's going to be about a 12-hour ordeal. And also the danger in that is high-profile vehicles on the interstate. It's going to be very difficult driving. You're going to have to be 10 and 2, gripping that wheel. Of course, there's a lot of very experienced men and women out there driving those type vehicles. Mm-hmm. And prayers for them. And glad they are very experienced.
I'll tell you, when I was driving in, Ken, and by the way, 3 years ago today was the tornado outbreak.
Yes, sir.
March 2nd, 3rd of 2020. So when I was driving in, there were probably, I think, 2 or 3 different times that yours truly, very experienced driver, was driving 10 and 2, and I hydroplaned.
Yeah.
Because there are some puddles.
Deep puddles.
Very deep puddles. I don't even know.
Especially on 2440 westbound into downtown, just east of downtown.
Yep.
Those left 2 lanes were completely covered whenever I came in. And there was actually a car up against the median that had crashed near one of those puddles. And, you don't even have to hit those things going very fast to hydroplane.
I feel like calling these things on the highways 40 and 24 inbound, I almost feel like calling them puddles is a disservice. It's like they're ponds on the highway.
Ponds. Yeah. And that's there must be something clogging up the drainage system on the interstate between the 40-24 split or join, if you will, and downtown, because there are always deep ponds in those left lanes whenever it's raining. Yeah. And it's dangerous.
It is very dangerous.
I've never lived in a place where when it rains, it ponds on the interstates like it does here in Nashville.
I've never seen that either. That's just a Nashville thing. And I don't know if it's because Nashville, has it always been like this? Because the other day, was it yesterday, we were talking about how dirty Nashville is becoming with all of the trash.
Well, and that's probably what's going on. You've got trash clogging the drains.
Yep.
Somebody, whoever's job it is, get out there and clean it up.
Yeah. It's not that hard, man. Clean out the trash from the drains. That's all you got to do. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes on the sky and our eyes on the radar. Lots to keep an eye on this morning on Nashville's Morning News. We'll keep you updated with all the latest, bottom of the hour, top of the hour, and basically when it breaks. If something's going on, and we will most certainly let you know. Thank you, Ken. 512, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So a lot of things going on. Washington, D.C., locally as well. Going to keep you updated on everything. You remember yesterday, the president was under fire big time because he was apparently, some people would say, I said that he did, he sort of chuckled at a woman who was talking about the death of her 2 sons from fentanyl. And so we played you the audio yesterday of one Rebecca Kiesling, and she was testifying on Capitol Hill about the impact of fentanyl on society.
I mean, it's unbelievable. You would think that one death from fentanyl coming across our southern border would be enough to sound the alarm. 100,000 die every year, and nothing's being done. Not enough is being done. Numbers are going up, not down. And you talk about children being taken away from their parents. My children were taken away from me.
I mean, very compelling, very emotional testimony. And so you remember the story. Hopefully you do. If not, I'll just update you very quickly. You had Marjorie Taylor Greene, who tweeted out a video of Rebecca Kiesling's testimony and basically blaming the president, Joe Biden, because of all of the fentanyl that's coming across our southern border. And everyone knows that that has been a major issue, especially for the last 2 years. But as it turned out, of course, and I pointed this out yesterday, the 2 sons of this woman died actually during the Trump administration. And so Biden, of course, chose this moment to talk about this woman's testimony, and also Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeting out saying that it was Joe Biden's fault. And he said, well, these two actually died during the previous administration. And then he chuckled.
She was very specific recently, saying that a poor mother who lost 2 kids to fentanyl, that I killed her sons. Well, the interesting thing is that fentanyl they took came during the last administration.
I mean, the problem that the president has is, of course, that he chose to chuckle. He chose to chuckle as talking about what this woman is going through and has gone through. But it's not only just about Rebecca Kiesling. This is about the thousands of families, millions of families over the years that have been impacted by the fentanyl coming across our southern border. And as everyone knows, the president and his wide open border policies is responsible for a lot of that fentanyl coming over. So now the mom herself, Rebecca Kiesling, she heard the president's chuckle, and now she has responded with a message of her own for the president. I've got that for you straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News, 5:15. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you, Jack. Today, occasional thunderstorms, high wind warnings as well. We've got possible isolated tornadoes. Very busy weather day here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Today, a high of 68. Right now, 63 degrees, and a full weather forecast coming at you at 5:30 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Nashville's Morning News. Talking about the chuckle that was heard around the world. Joe Biden chuckling over the fate of this woman and her 2 sons. Her 2 sons, as we've been reporting, dying because of the fentanyl coming across our southern border. And you had Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeting out that the president was responsible for the death of these 2 guys, the sons of this woman. And so one of the things that the president brought up was that the fentanyl came over the border while Donald Trump was president of the United States. And so that's all fine, well, and good. As I mentioned yesterday, if the 2 sons died during the Trump administration, that is noted. I would say that is duly noted, because you can't obfuscate the fact that Joe Biden has done everything possible to bring as much fentanyl across the border as humanly possible because of the wide open border, and also, of course, his wussiness when it comes to China. And he refuses to stand up to China. Everybody knows this. I did a deep dive on this yesterday. Well, the mom herself, Rebecca Kiesling, called the president out on a social media post. Here's what she had to say.
He starts to laugh and says that, well, it turns out that they died before I ever even became president. Like, really? This is how you speak about the death of my sons? Because a congresswoman misspoke? You mock the loss of my sons. How dare you? What is the matter with you?
Oh, gosh. I don't know, Rebecca Kiesling, when she asks the president, what is the matter with you? How much time have you got? Because the American people have been asking that question for quite some time. So she brought up what I brought up yesterday, again, in this very long social media post about the increase in fentanyl coming across our southern border and so forth. And so, she is demanding, and it's a relevant ask. It's an appropriate ask. She is asking the president that he needs to apologize. She's asking the president, demanding the president to apologize.
And then what about the 22% increase in fentanyl deaths since you became president, since you changed your policy at the borders? That represents tens of thousands of U.S. citizens who died under your watch.
She's absolutely right. And so when the president had the chuckle and the comment that everybody heard, it was almost like, do you not understand that while you may not be, quote unquote, responsible for the death of Rebecca Kiesling's 2 sons, what about all of those other people that have died, as she said, under your watch?
An increase in tens of thousands, and that represents even double that number of the parents who are suffering. Are you going to keep laughing about those who did die under your watch? Do we have to bring them in so you can look them in the eyes and laugh? What is wrong with you? This is unacceptable, and our president needs to apologize to me.
I mean, listen, when she says, what is wrong with you, she's absolutely right, because there were millions of Americans, not just conservatives, by the way, but millions of Americans who were aghast at this chuckle of Joe Biden. And frankly, there are a lot of people that were horrified at the president's chuckle. Absolutely horrified. And you know who knows that is Cringe Jean-Pierre. And she was asked about this. She was asked about the criticism that the president was taking because of that chuckle.
When it comes to this president, I believe the American people knows who he is fundamentally because he's been around for some time. And they have watched him go through grief. They have watched him deal with really personal loss.
Oh, stop it. Is she really going to bring up Beau Biden? Is that what she's going to do to try to deflect from the president's chuckle heard around the world?
That's
Come
what he
on.
does.
And so this is a president that understands that. He expressed sympathy for her last night, and his heart goes out to any person who has to go through that type of trauma, that type of hurt. I will say his words are being mischaracterized by someone who is regularly discredited.
Now, he's talking obviously about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. What I would say is, okay, but what about the mother? What about Rebecca Kiesling?
For things that she says that are really conspiracy theories. And those lies are being parroted by a certain network. And you know.
I love this. So instead of tackling the president's very poor judgment and choice of words and chuckle, Cringe Jean-Pierre thinks it's a good idea to go after Fox News, right? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
You know, I'll just leave it there. I'll say one more thing, is that conservative parents on fentanyl victims have been very clear. They have blasted the Congresswoman for these dishonest kinds of statements and kinds of attacks. But again, our hearts go out to anyone who loses a person that they love. And this is something that you've heard from this president over and over again when that has occurred and has been presented to him.
So that is Cringe Jean-Pierre, not really answering the question, not really giving the critics of Joe Biden for his chuckle heard around the world any real indication that he even regrets the chuckle that everyone heard. And so we'll have to see where this story goes today. It's not really, to be perfectly candid, it's not really about Rebecca Kiesling. It's not really about Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's not really about her 2 sons who tragically passed away. This is about Joe Biden and about how his weak on the border policies and his weak policies on China have contributed to hundreds of thousands of deaths. And say what you will about Donald Trump or the fentanyl coming across the border when Donald Trump was president, at least the man had a plan, which is more than we can say for Joe Biden. It is 5:23 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. What's one of the biggest mistakes that I find that investors make? Well, it's typically buying based on past performance. We look at our 401k, we try to decide which fund should I buy, and tend to look at historical past performance over 3, 5, and you even hear investment advisors telling people to look at 3, 5, and 10-year track records. Problem is that what do markets do? They go up and they go down. Well, where did this have a great past performance? Here to here. So we end up buying high. We found that there was one study back in 1986, and it was called the Brinson-Hooden-Biebauer study. And they were looking at what drove investment returns more than anything else. And the study sort of looked like this. They said, stock selection, about 4% of investment differences were due to stock selection. About 2% was due to market timing differences. Asset mix, asset allocation, that was the big deal. Now, what they found, which was fascinating, was that when the pension plans engaged in these two activities, in one study it showed that 100% of the time, investment returns were lower and it increased risk. Not something you want when you're an investor. So this is something that we teach investors to help them sidestep some of these issues. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
We got double trouble with the weather today, ladies and gents. We'll go over it with you coming up. Also, wait do you hear what happened just east of Dallas yesterday when a tornado hit a small town there. Going to hear from a fellow by the name of Ray Wodarski. Right now in Tennessee and several other states, the ACLU says it is going to take them to court to block some bills that the governor's just signed. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 528 Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up during the Gang of Three Amigos, I've got some cuts from none other than Senator John Kennedy.
Awesome.
From Louisiana.
Yes.
And he's funny as all get out. You folks want to laugh? Wait till you hear what Senator Kennedy says. That is coming up during the Gang of Three Amigos. And surprising news, I believe, about Jimmy Carter. It's all straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Want to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling I've been a member of the Beehive Club for years and years. I think it's, 2 or 3 different homes and a whole bunch of air conditioners, and they've maintained each and every one. And I do believe in maintenance, maintaining your HVAC so that it lasts for the long term. Now, that means that you do need to become a member of the Beehive Club through Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. I get front-of-the-line service. If my HVAC breaks down, I get front-of-the-line service. I get 10% off of all repairs. No overtime or holiday charges. 3 annual tune-ups a year, including plumbing and so much more. So many benefits, and by the way, they are adding more all the time, so check them out at busybeehvac.com. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. They are expanding, now offering service in Cookeville. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. busybeehvac.com.
It is 5:30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got a high wind warning today. Gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Power outages are likely. Driving could be difficult. And then severe storms are possible. Level 3 out of 5 for everyone east of 65. The timeline for the immediate metro Nashville area will be 10 a.m. to noon. Right now, we're tracking a line of showers and thunderstorms that is just now making its way to Memphis. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. This is that same line that hit Dallas, Texas, and points east. Here's what it was like in the small town of Picton.
Somebody said, "Man, that train sounds loud." And I said, "There ain't no train. The noise comes from there." We looked up, and there it was, coming straight through the daggone woods.
Yeah, big old tornado, says Ray Wodarski in the small town of Picton, about 90 miles east of Dallas. Right now in Tennessee and several other states, the ACLU says it will block the bills that have banned gender-affirming care that helps a minor child identify with or live as something other than their biological sex. Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, South Dakota, Utah, Mississippi have similar laws. And another bill that Governor Lee signed yesterday in Tennessee bans public drag shows that are in any way sexual in nature. It's been 60 years since retired Colonel Paris Davis was in combat in Vietnam. Well, this morning, Colonel Davis will be awarded the Medal of Honor, one of the nation's first black officers in the Special Forces. He rescued members of his battalion while taking fire. Andrea Fujii has his story.
He was nominated by his superiors for the Medal of Honor, but was told the U.S. Army lost his paperwork twice.
I was spending most of my time just trying to keep us alive and keep them off of us.
Colonel Davis spoke candidly on being a black commander at the time. Combat was a powerful unifier.
There's no race there. Hell, in the dark, by virtue of being American citizens.
Today, Colonel Paris Davis will receive the Medal of Honor from President Biden.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
537 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Time for the Gang of Three Amigos for a Friday.
Yeah.
March 3rd,
Yes, sir.
2023.
Yes, sir.
Whoop, whoop. Johnny's here. Ken's here. I'm here. We're all here.
Buckner's here.
Yeah, Brother Mike is in the building.
Mike Buckner's here, the engineer.
Yeah.
I feel bad because he walked in and I said, y'all are trying to send me into a seizure. That's the first thing I say to him. And he's sort of like, what? Because the light in here, it keeps, what do you call this? Blinking.
Strobe, like a strobe light.
It's like a strobe light. I should be, dancing in Club 52 in New York or whatever that was.
Yeah, with go-go boots and...
Go-go boots, thumbs out and that whole thing. Shirt in the butter. All that kind of...
Biting your bottom lip.
Shirt in the butter.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Shirt
we
and
don't...
butter and biting your lip.
That's
boy.
right.
We don't have Friday on the mind, do we, friends?
Mini skirt on.
Oh.
Hey, so...
Yeah.
What did you say about a skirt?
I said mini skirt on. That's what the go-go girls wore in those days.
I was going to say, is that what Weaver's wearing today?
He might be.
Yeah.
John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy. He was speaking at CPAC. You know what's interesting about CPAC? All of a sudden, now, have you noticed this, Ken? That CPAC is now controversial because CPAC has turned into, is it for Trump or is it for the establishment? So that's now what CPAC has stupidly turned into. Anyway, so John Kennedy was actually at CPAC, and he had a really funny speech, including this line.
The truth is that God is great, beer is good, and the United States of America is star-spangled awesome.
I like that. Star-Spangled Awesome.
I can't argue with all 3 points.
No, actually you can't. He also talked a little bit about Washington, D.C.
The truth is that common sense is illegal in Washington, D.C. I know. I've seen it firsthand. I wonder sometimes how some people in Washington, D.C. actually made it through the birth canal.
See, that's good. There's more.
The truth is that we are going to have to get some new conspiracy theories because all the old ones came true.
There you go. John Kennedy, everybody. I mean, look, tell me where he's wrong.
Oh, this is what I love about the South, especially that reminded me of an aunt that I had. She would talk exactly like
that.
Really?
Just good old common sense from a Southern perspective.
Yep. We got one more. Because we've all joked here about kale and about how I actually kind of like kale. Whatever. This is what John Kennedy says about kale.
By the way, to me, kale tastes like I'd rather be fat.
Amen.
See, listen.
Yes,
Amen.
sir.
Amen, brother.
If you ask me if I would rather have kale or a Twinkie, I would rather have a Twinkie.
But you're not going to do that, Brother Dan. You're going to go for that kale anyway.
I'll go ahead and have the kale.
Oh, hell. Let's have the kale.
You know what diet I'm on this week? Have I talked about this? So you know what I'm doing this week? Because I got to get into my Speedo body.
That's right. It's almost time to open up that pool, brother.
Summer's coming up, and I got to get my Speedo body up, and we're going on vacation next week.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to get myself in vacation shape, just to eat incessantly on vacation. And by the way, there may be some adult beverages that may be consumed on my vacation as well.
Maybe. I doubt that.
Maybe not before 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, you underestimate me, Ken Weaver.
It's
you
5
kidding?
o'clock somewhere, honey.
Yes, sir.
Listen, with the hours that I keep and the weird schedule that I keep, I give myself permission to drink whenever I want.
All right.
Maybe even during or right before a show so that I would just be a little bit better at what I do for a living. I've been trying to do fish all week. Why is that so funny? Because you're thinking about me the last time I tried.
I hearken back to that story.
Yeah.
Yes, the 5-day-old fish. Fresh fish, which wasn't.
Made me sick. Oh, my goodness.
That's one way to lose weight.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what. So I'm trying to eat.
Comes out the minute it goes in.
That and Taco Bell.
It's fresh fish. 5 days ago.
5 days ago. It was fresh 5 days ago. I don't know what the hell happened.
So what sort of interesting ways have you been preparing your fish dish?
You know what? I've been cooking it in, on the stove, out in the barbecue.
Yeah.
And I've been eating a lot of sushi.
Sushi
as well.
Boy, that's going to trigger John Kennedy.
And listen, it hasn't been bad, and I know that's not exactly following the LT 360, but salmon is actually a superfood.
I love salmon.
Now Twinkies are like super good, and I would again rather be eating Twinkies, but I'll do fish. It's actually working pretty well for yours truly.
That's the way to go,
like
Brother
that.
Dan. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually kind of tired of steak. I don't know if you guys have ever tired of a certain kind of food, but I mean, I have had so much steak in my life. Now I'm enjoying fish. Did you hear, by the way, the guy that is trying the McDonald's diet?
Yeah, hasn't that been done before?
This dude's in Nashville.
Yeah, I saw
Nashville
that.
grandpa eating only McDonald's for 100 days to lose weight, and he says it's absolutely working. Now, here's the thing. And this is true. I've kind of done this, where if you look at the calories of, and listen, it's been a minute, all right? So I might be a little wrong on this,
all right.
But it's on the radio, so it must be true. If you look at the calories for some of the, the smallest hamburger at McDonald's, it's actually, as far as caloric intake goes, it's not terrible. Same with Egg McMuffin. It's not terrible. Now, look at your cholesterol level and all those things, and, you're probably taking a few years off your life. But this guy's name is Kevin McGinnis. He is 56 years old. He's a Nashville grandpa, and he says he is ready to defy all odds by eating McDonald's for 100 consecutive days in an effort to drop some excess weight. He says it's already working. Now, he weighed 238 pounds on February 21st, and he says now that he would receive every meal over the next 3 months from McDonald's. See, what I'm trying to figure out is, okay, so now guess what? Here's a shocker. He's on TikTok. So
yeah.
Oh, man. A grandpa on TikTok.
I want to know, though, what is he eating from McDonald's? Now, his first meal consisted of a sausage McMuffin with egg and cheese and a well-done hash brown for breakfast, eating the remainder of the meal for his lunch. He wraps up the day with a quarter pounder, done like a Big Mac, and fries for dinner. Can I just tell you, I could not live like that.
No.
It just sounds like your entire body is going to be secreting McDonald's grease.
I could if there were 3 of each item involved.
3 of each item?
Yeah. But I don't want to go around limiting myself all day long.
Well,
I better not eat that other fry.
Yeah, see, and we got trapped in eating McDonald's nonstop going to my wife's son's wedding.
Yeah.
Thanks to my father-in-law.
Okay.
And, man, I was so sick of McDonald's, I've not been back.
Really?
Since. No, because it was just constant. Every time we'd stop, I'm thinking, can't we go to Wendy's or something different?
Yeah.
And plus the way I felt, I thought, gosh, I don't feel healthy at all.
Oh, you ever eat, you want to see yours truly shame spiral?
Yeah.
Me going to town on McDonald's. Oh, because listen, as much as I love In-N-Out, McDonald's, I mean, it's pretty good. Nothing beats, for me, aside from In-N-Out, nothing beats a plain McDonald's hamburger, no onions. Because onions are not allowed in my house.
Boy.
Oh.
Amy likes it when I go out of town because she can actually eat onions.
Onions and garlic.
Have I gone down this road before?
Yeah, you have.
Have I?
Because I eat a lot of garlic, so you must smell it on me.
I don't get that close to you. I'm not like
No,
you
don't.
know.
We don't get that.
Hey,
close.
Johnny, let's take Joe Biden's suggestion and connect by breathing on each other.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and
I just love that garlic. Oh, nurse.
come on in for a little connection.
Oh,
Come on in for a little breathing on each other.
Oh, Nurse Pearl turned me on to that. You know, if it were, if we still had dancing in the booth, I'd have Nurse Pearl.
Nurse
dancing
Pearl?
today, yeah.
Here she comes, coming in for a quick breath.
Oh man!
You know what? You know what? You know
Joe with her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, watch me dance. I can cut a rug. I'm
Now-
telling you, folks in Centerville, I can do it.
You know how many people keep coming up to me? I forget how many people listen to this show. How many people have come up to me and asked if I wanted to, if we wanted to exchange, weirdly breathing on each other for connection.
Come here, Danny boy.
You know what? I love the people get the jokes. By the way, here comes Joe Biden for a little connection.
Yeah. Sounds like you need some Primatine.
Could you just feel the connection?
Yeah, I can feel an inhaler. Yeah. Give me that inhaler quick before my heart goes out.
Darth Biden.
Get Darth. Dan, I'm your father.
No!
I am your father. Come on over. Come on over to the woke side, Dan. Feel the power of the woke side.
Oh, Lordy be.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
That's pretty good.
Wait till you see the Death Star.
I just pictured Darth Vader's head with Biden's face coming out the front, laying on a pillow. There's Pearl's pillow.
Come here, Nurse Pearl.
There ain't nothing but a paper cloth over his body.
She's my Princess Leia.
Oh.
Yeah, baby. She's wearing that Princess Leia outfit. You know?
Oh, man. What do they call those things they put on you when you got to get stuff done to your privates in the hospital? It's just like a little paper. It's like a big sheet of paper that ties in the back.
All right, we're done.
With Biden's butt. His shaggy old butt. How you doing? Good to see you. Gosh, I love this town. Memphis is lovely this time of year.
Anyway, so that is today's version of the Gang of Three Amigos for 5:35.
Dan, it's early, man.
It's award-winning, I tell you.
You're trying to shut.
Yeah, you're trying to shut it down early, aren't you?
Dan's very willing this 3 minutes.
Yeah, we're always late. And this morning, Dan's on time.
Very well.
Very well. Move along.
I'm very willing, all of us.
Oh, my gosh. Biden's face sticking out of Darth Vader's helmet.
That is very funny.
Somebody's got to come up with that and send it to us.
Yes.
Oh, something tells me they probably will.
Oh, yeah, they
wearing
will.
a hospital smock.
We'll see it before the morning's up.
Oh, man. I wonder if Nurse Pearl looked like, who was that? Who was the waitress on Alice? That was,
which one? You had
Kiss
Flo.
My Grits.
You had Flo.
I bet you Nurse Pearl looked like Flo.
You had Flo. You had Vera.
If she existed.
And you had Alice.
Yeah, and then they had that other one, the blonde.
You know, it's interesting. So over the years, men have always said Ginger or Marianne, or they've said, Lonnie Anderson versus, Bailey on
Jan Smithers.
Jan Smithers on WKRP.
Mm-hmm.
You had, all kinds of different, would you rathers. Which would you rather? How come nobody ever asks the question, Alice, Vera, or Flo?
There's a good reason.
How about none of the above?
Yeah, those ladies.
Yeah, they had that.
Listen, Ginger Marianne or...
They had that Waffle House look.
Waffle House look.
Oh,
wow.
Sorry, but,
Ginger and Marianne were above.
Now,
yes, they were.
You had Ginger Marianne. You had Alice versus Mrs. Brady, right?
Yeah,
You had that one.
Yeah.
You had Laverne or Shirley. Which would you like, rather, Laverne or Shirley?
And for
Blondie
Ken,
versus Joan Jett.
For Ken, Mrs. C.
Oh yeah, Miss
Mrs.
Cunningham.
C. Mrs. Brady versus Mrs. C. There was that one.
And then
Mrs. C.
And then anybody that watches Suits, which I just started watching, the redhead Donna. On
Okay.
there.
Well, I got to look at her. What's she look like?
Quite fetching.
On Suits? It's called Suits?
Yeah, she's a great actress, too.
But if you had to, Alice, Vera, or Flo. If I'm gonna.
Yes, sir. She's pretty.
See, this is why I wanted to ditch this early.
Yeah, you did.
But
too late now, buddy.
If you had to, Vera, Flo, or Alice, which one?
If you had to.
If you had, probably Alice.
Just so you know, this is the games that we used to play when we were in high school, right? Remember this?
Boy.
I'm going to say Alice because she would impart some wisdom to you.
Yes, and she was. Plus, I like her look.
Yeah.
You liked Alice's look?
Well, compared to the other.
Okay. There you go. I think I would also agree with your choice of Alice, although Flo has a little bit of a fire and a spark to her.
She's feisty.
Yeah.
I actually knew a saleswoman that you could pass for Flo.
Really?
She was right down the alley.
I bet she was good, too, wasn't she?
She was real good. She was a real good salesperson.
Yeah.
But see, then Vera had the low self-esteem.
Well, there was a reason.
There was a reason.
Poor old Vera.
Yeah, she was sweet, though.
You felt
she
sorry.
was sweet.
You felt sorry for Vera.
You wanted to just hug her and say, everything's
going to be okay, Vera.
Yeah. Loved Vera.
So,
Vera, it's all right.
So Vera's in the friend zone. Flo's the girl you wouldn't take home to mama. And Alice would be the keeper.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Again, this is why I wanted to ditch this early. Anyway,
I can understand.
5:54 on WTN.
Very well.
5:58, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up next, man, there is so much news to cover, including all the latest with Russia, Ukraine, illegal immigration as well, and the battle over transgenders in sports. It's all straight ahead on Nashville's morning news, plus a very close eye on the weather. It's all straight ahead on WTN.